Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to stand and we want you to make some noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing here at Knoxville.
Only the best go 3 abreast.
It is show time at Williams Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You've got a for a breath. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the world of outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
Hello again, it's Wing Nation, talking sprint cars, our favorite time of the week, and we are so glad that you have joined us. Steve Post and Erin Evernham here in the MRN Wing Nation studios. How are you, Erin?
I'm doing well.
Well, we are both doing well because we are going right straight to the Zoom line. Joining us from, I believe, the wonderful state of Oregon, the California native, Dominic Scelzi joins us. Hello, Dominic. How are you?
Hey, guys. How we doing? I'm enjoying the beautiful weather up here in the Pacific Northwest.
That is cool, and we're going to talk a lot about the Pacific Northwest and a lot about the weather. But Dominic, as I was riding over today, I was thinking about this. Our first conversation on Wing Nation was Kendra Jacobs and myself, and we had you go to the teacher's lounge of school so that you could do the call. And what struck this to me is I looked at your X profile. Your X profile, it is this, Erin, it says, dad, husband, watch collector, freight broker, foodie, and loudmouth. Okay? I think this is 180 degrees different than 10 years ago when you were loudmouth, foodie, maybe a watch collector, all of this other stuff. Dom, what an evolution. Just talk a little bit about life and how it's evolved and how things are going with the family now.
Yeah, it's amazing. I remember the first time, being on the show, and, I was just this young, snot-nosed kid who thought he knew everything, and now I'm this old, snot-nosed kid that thinks he knows everything. And it's amazing how the racing journey has kind of progressed for me, and I've had a lot of fun. And, for me, now that I kind of do my own podcast, it's so much different listening to like Wing Nation or some of these other shows out there where people don't realize how much work goes into it. So we're working on a Dirt Cup preview right now. And, I've got a bunch of previous winners lined up, and I'm getting to hang out here in my motorhome. I've got my kids and everybody. We're just having so much fun, and life is great. And what's really cool is I get to still race as much as I want, and I also get to be a dad full time and be involved in our family businesses. And life honestly couldn't be better. It's a lot of fun.
That was going to kind of be my next question. It was still keeping it big picture, the evolution of your career. You've spent some time on the road. You moved back to California. You have a family, working in the family business. Talk about that whole experience and how valuable those times on the road have been for you.
Yeah. So for me, I went on the road. I had very little experience and knowledge of what racing on the road was like. And, when I got out on the road, I learned quickly that racing is so much different throughout the Midwest as it is anywhere else. And, California racing is known for bull rings and big cushions and a lot of grip in the racetrack. So it was kind of culture shock. But after, I went out in 2016, and when I came home after 2020, we had spent a lot of time and, a lot of years racing out there. And what I really learned was I don't really like hooked up wet racetracks. And to this day, I still don't really like them that much. So I've been having to learn a lot to get better at that. And right now we're struggling on the hooked up wet racetracks, which is pretty much all we've gotten this year. But, it's been a blessing, like to be able to make the Knoxville Nationals twice and, win some really cool races back in the Midwest. And then to have that dominating few years out here, it's been great. We're kind of off our game right now, but we're working hard to get back to it. And I think this trip is always a good one for me.
Let's talk a little bit about this, because let's talk about how important it is, and maybe you and the gang can back things up back to back, week to week to week, and maybe get some momentum. Is that what you look forward to over the next 5 days?
Absolutely. Whenever you can race night after night, it's always helpful. Really for me, I think where our biggest struggle has come this year is, nearly every racetrack we've been to this season has been incredibly wet, incredibly rough. A lot of times just kind of hard to maneuver. And that's just something I've never been great at. Well, there's a lot of really good guys out here. When you look at Justin Sanders and Shane Golobic and DJ Neto and Dominic Gordon and a lot of these guys that are gassers, that's their bread and butter. They really shine when you got to, buckle up and really bang through the holes. And that's just something I've never been very good at. So they're kind of kicking our butts right now. But, now that we're out of California, thank the Lord, out of that state, because that's just not for me down there, it seems like. But we're going to racetracks that get wide and they get racy and they get slick. And, not saying we're not going to get our butt kicked up here, but it's just a lot easier on me as a driver to kind of maneuver the race car and more so what I'm good at. So I think we've got a pretty good package. We've been working really hard to get our car better, and I've been working hard to get myself better.
Yeah, Dominic, in the 10 or so years we've talked to you, you kind of just hit on it, but the competition level on the West Coast, how much it's changed. I mean, from us watching on the East Coast, and you talked about a lot of the names, it seems like there's a lot more big races in the West Coast. There's the competition level. Just talk about how that's evolved in the last 10 years.
No, I agree 100%. I think when I came home in 2020, there were good guys. And then in 2021, we raced full time out here on the West Coast. And I realized guys like Justin Sanders, I'd raced it with him my whole life, but you can really start to measure them off of all the national guys when you race with them every week. And Justin is one of the best in the country. Shane Golobic is one of the best in the country. DJ Neto is one of the best in the country. And even though you don't see them dipping in and out, I mean, if you just think for a second, Shane Golobic has run second at the 360 Nationals. He's a short track guy. He won the last NSL race ever. He's beat the Outlaws twice. He's done a lot of incredible things. He's almost won the Chili Bowl of all things. Justin Sanders, he went and jumped in the Swindell 39 and then the Macri car and looked like he'd been a professional back there his entire career. There's a lot of these guys that are just incredibly talented no matter where you send them. And when you race with them night in and night out, you start looking at the guys that maybe they don't get as much publicity. They're just as good. They're just as talented. They just haven't had that moment to shine. So, I look at the fields over the last 4 or 5 years in California, and you go all the way down to 10th, and you can think you could flip the top 10 and people wouldn't be surprised. So that's something I'm proud of out here, that the quality of cars are really, really good and the racing's tough. I would love to see us have a little bit more variety in racetrack. And with Calistoga coming back, I think that's exciting. And I'm hoping that, eventually Hanford will come back.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Those two, certainly Calistoga is on the fast track for that. That is for sure. All right, so I want to take this another layer. We talk about West Coast, and we always talk California. Okay, what I think you guys are getting ready to run into is Oregon and Washington. And Dom, talk a little bit about that. Your buddy Trey Starks is up there, Tyler Thompson, Tanner Holmes. We had Tanner on a couple weeks ago. Not only does California look like it's evolving, but it looks like the Northwest, Oregon and Washington is evolving. And I think there's some guys ready to ambush you Californians when you get up into Oregon and up into Washington.
Absolutely. And there's one person to blame for all that, and that's Kevin Rudeen.
Yes.
Kevin took a place like Skagit that was a good track, but there was no 410 racing in the Pacific Northwest at all. And he decides, this crazy guy that doesn't know much about sprint car racing, hey, how about we bring 410s back? And everyone goes, yeah, this shows how much you don't know. And in 2 years, he's done exactly that. He's brought the purses back. He's brought the cars back. He's brought the racetrack. He's turned the Dirt Cup back into a 410 event. We're racing for $100,000 for basically a regional 410 race. We're going to race for at least $100,000 here in a few weeks with the high limit series up there. He did everything that all these people that know so much said he couldn't do, and he did it in no time at all. So, I love Kevin. He's one of my very good friends, and I knew that there's no betting against that guy, and he's gone and done it. So guys like Trey Starks, who is incredibly talented, Jason Solwald, Robbie Price, Colton Heath, all these amazing drivers up there, and there's many I'm forgetting. That's just Washington. We're not even talking Tanner Holmes, who can bounce between the two and is equally fast. So what you're seeing right now, and I blame Kevin for all of it, a uniting of the Western United States, the West Coast, and a strengthening of our sport out here. And, we're not to the point where you can be a professional out here on the West Coast, but we're getting a lot closer. And, I would love to see California promoters take notice as to what he's doing and seeing that it's working, and really try and pump the effort into their facilities and bigger races and all the things that he's doing successfully, because I really believe if we can strengthen California a little bit, you're not going to lose so many guys. It might end up like Ohio or Pennsylvania, where guys can stick around and, maybe not make a great living, but they can do it and be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you head up into Oregon and Washington, on more of a personal note, what are your thoughts going into this week? What are some of the tracks that you think are your strengths, maybe some weaknesses? I know you're hoping for some drier tracks, but what are your thoughts on the weekend coming up?
Yeah, you know what? When you look up through this stint, I've been doing it for a million years now, so we've been to a lot of these places. We've had good runs at all of them. We've had bad runs at all of them. I think really for us, the key is qualifying. If you can get yourself qualified in, any racetrack can be a good track. When we won at Medford a few years ago, it was incredibly wet, big curb, not to my liking, but we had track position, and that was very helpful. And then we've been to Cottage Grove several times, and we've won at Cottage Grove, and it'd be completely slick over the edge, and the lap times slow down tremendously. You also have Elma, which is big and fast and wide, but it never really slows down. It's wide open around the top or wide open around the bottom. And, all these places, there's things I like about them. There's things I struggle with some of them. So for me, I think if I can just get ourselves qualified in a good spot, we can be a contender for every single night. There's no place that I, want to avoid or am not looking forward to. It's just going to matter where can we unload fast and where can we really, take a bite out of the competition. And a place for me that, I really like is Douglas County, the new facility in Roseburg. I just haven't had a lick of, anything to show that we're any good there. I think we're on the front row 2 years in a row and crashed on the first lap both years. And the high limit show, we qualified good. And I think we crashed there too. So hopefully I can get all 30 laps there. But I really think that, I feel like I'm an old guy now. We can win anywhere we go. It's just a matter of putting ourselves in position. So hopefully we can do that. And, the one that I have circled, obviously no brainer, is the Saturday night of Dirt Cup. We won it back in 2021, and we were close in 22 and 23. That would be a world changer for me if we could win that.
Yeah, I mean, to win the race, but obviously it's $100,000 or $100,026 to win it. But it's one of those marquee, one of those events. And maybe I'll get into that a little bit more. But I do want to ask, as you look at these 5 days, what all is the preparation for the team to get ready for this? You guys are generally Friday, Saturday night racers. What has this meant building up to this fastest 5 days?
Well, it's been a lot. Luckily we haven't burned through race cars this year like we did last year, and we haven't gotten ourselves behind the 8 ball there, but we've had some engine troubles this year. We've lost 2 engines. So we're kind of hurting for engines right now, but we've got 3 cars in the trailer. We're ready to race. We've got tires, we've got spare parts. But getting ready for a trip like this takes a lot of, preparedness. And I feel like that's where it helps a lot having a guy like Jimmy Card, where, he's done this a million times and he knows what's going on. And, even though we've been struggling, we're working hard to get our speed back where we need to be. And at the same time, we know our race cars are prepared and our equipment is ready to go. So that's a confidence boost for me, knowing that, we may not be fighting on all 8 cylinders right now, but we're close. And it only takes one night to change your entire year. So I'm looking for that big change right now. And I've got confidence in myself. And I think really as a driver, that's what matters. If you feel like you're beat before you get to the racetrack, you are. And if you feel like you're, the guy to beat when you show up to the racetrack, you are. So I feel confident right now. I know that I can do it. I know that we can do it. It's just a matter of actually getting out there and doing it now.
Yes, very well said. So you talk about getting the cars and the parts and pieces ready. What is it like getting the family and the RV ready for the big trip?
Oh my gosh, my wife, she'd probably have a lot to say about it, but they flew up yesterday to Portland and I picked her up and the girls, and it was 100 and some degrees. So we're, sweating like crazy in the motorhome last night, and the girls didn't sleep very good. So they're going wild. And, it's so much fun that these are what the memories are made of. And, I think of a few years ago, we brought my oldest up to this speed week and we won that first night in Medford, and she was able to get her picture taken in Victory Lane. And I mean, that's kind of what I live for right now. So I want to get them both in Victory Lane together. And, we're just having fun. Like, I mean, these 5 days are tough, but then after that, we go stay at Trey Stark's and we go out on the lake, and, then we go up to Burlington and we eat 2,000 pounds of fresh seafood. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. The only thing I'm worried about is the toilet in this thing. I don't know if it can take the beating it's prepared for.
Jesus. Oh my God, that is awesome. That really is. Yeah, the Washington culture. I went up there, and I went up there a couple of years ago for Dirt Cup. It was an ASCS National Tour race, and the seafood and the eating and the scenery up there. And that was my question. So you're just spending the week up there, just goofing off, getting ready for only $100,000 to win race on Saturday night.
Exactly. You know what? I mean, this is our Knoxville Nationals out here, really. I mean, this is the biggest event. This is the Gold Cup, and I treat those just like I would treat the Knoxville Nationals. You have to have a couple drinks before the night before. You got to have a good dinner. Make sure you sleep good, and then get up and figure out where you're going to have lunch. This is how you do it, and this is how you've got to do it. I think that if you take it too serious, you make yourself sick, and you start playing scenarios out in your head that don't happen. I mean, Erin, you can agree with me here. How many times have you rolled out for a feature and you got an exact game plan of what you're going to do, and then the green flag drops and you throw it all out?
Most races.
Exactly. We've done this enough to where we know what it takes to win. We know what we need to do, and for me, I have to keep myself level-headed and not so in tune with what we're racing for, and I'm going to treat it like a Friday night at Chico racing for $3,000. It's the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk to you a little bit about the family memories. You grew up at the racetrack with your dad racing. The memories you're making with your daughters and your wife, like that is just the coolest thing to me. There's nothing like being with your family. We do a lot of RV camping ourselves, and it's just a really fun experience. Those memories you're making with your kids, I love every bit of hearing about that.
It's wonderful, and I mean, I'll show them. They're playing right now. They got their Candyland out, and I mean, this is my life. This is what it's all. This is what I do anything for. I mean, the thought of having to go 3 weeks without seeing them would make me sick, and it's just not an option. And luckily enough, we're in the position where I don't have to be. We can rent the motorhome and load them up and go. And at the end of the day, there's going to be one winner on next Saturday, and there's going to be probably 49 losers. I would rather lose with my family than win alone.
Hear, hear.
I love it.
That is well said, well stated. That's for sure. Great stuff. How is your dad? How's the legend Gary doing?
He's doing good. He's just staying busy being a full-time grandpa. I mean, it seems like every time I leave my house, he's there, and he's playing with the girls, and he's in our pool. And this weekend actually, I was racing in Chico, and the girls went and they stayed up there and had a blast. And every 20 minutes I was getting a picture of them in the pool, or they were feeding horses, or they were riding golf carts, or just running rampant. Someone needs to parent that guy. I'm telling you what, he's a menace to society.
Yeah.
Some things never change.
Been that way for years. Exactly.
Yeah. And how about Gio? How often do you get to keep in touch, and you're tuned into Dirt Vision every night?
Oh, absolutely. I don't miss a race. This year's been tough for him. He keeps looking for a long bridge or a short bridge to take a long walk off of right now. He's been, stressing a lot with, just the competition out there is so tough. And if you're off a little bit, you're off a mile. And, they just haven't had as many good nights as they've wanted, but they're a good team. They're a tough team. And they've got a good core. So I know they'll work through it. It's just not what they had hoped for after last year, being so strong all the way up until the end of the year. But, I mean, I think you see that across the board. David Gravel couldn't lose a race the first, start of the season. And I feel like he's mellowed out a little bit. And, Tyler Courtney just won his first race. We're in June. He just won his first race this weekend. So that's the sport right now. Guys are struggling. Guys are running good. No rhyme or reason, but it's just tough out there. And, I think these tires play a big role into it. Mm-hmm. That, I feel like guys are getting a lot more tire spin than what they've had in the past. And it's throwing their balance off a little bit. And, you can make a million excuses, but at the end of the day, this is just a tough sport. And when you're firing on all eight, you're firing on all eight. When you're not, you can be behind just a little bit, but it's a mile.
We had this conversation with Brian Brown. Set aside wherever you are on World of Outlaws High Limit. They're both here. They're both existing. To me, what it's created is just twice as many good teams is what Absolutely. It is. Yeah, the Outlaws have had 12 to 14 platinum members forever. Guess what they have? 12 to 14 platinum members. High Limit has their high rollers and that sort of thing. And it just, to me, is nuts. And you put them all together on a racetrack, and it is some rough sledding out there.
Absolutely. I really believe that, with this split, what it created was that it created that space for the guy that was almost ready to do it.
Right.
maybe just on that borderline. And he goes, you know what? Now I'm going to do it because there aren't 13 of the best. It's like 6 or 7 for each. Well, then the other 6 or 7 spots got filled up with the next best. So I think both series are equally tough.
Mhm.
I think both series, before the split was incredibly tough, but I don't think that's really changed a whole lot. We're just seeing more guys with the opportunity. Like I think of Aaron Reitzel, Tyler Courtney, Rico Abreu. Those guys really didn't do full tours on national series, and now they are. Now they're strutting their stuff to where they're getting good every single night. Brent Marks ran a couple years with the Outlaws, but he fell off the tour. Now he's back on a tour. You're seeing these guys that are really good regional guys that could win anywhere in the country. Now they're all racing each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. My poster child for that is Bill Baylog. Bill Baylog had that incredible career in Wisconsin and just couldn't get over the hump. I'm telling you what, you don't want Bill Baylog to roll in your pit area anymore because I know he hasn't gotten the wins he wants, but man, he is at the front of the field a lot. And I think there's a lot of guys like that, and it's really neat to see.
Absolutely. Like I think of Connor Morrell.
Yes.
Connor Morrell was leading the Outlaw show in Oshweekend and looked phenomenal doing it. Zach Hampton's had great runs. You look at, Cy Lynch has been quietly fast.
Yep.
A lot of these guys that most casual fans are like, who the hell are you talking about? They're starting to show what they can do. So Chris Wyndham is the guy I've been talking about on our podcast for like a year. And I'm like, he's going to win an Outlaw race this year. Now he's running in the top 5 every night.
Yep. Yeah. He is going to win. I'm with you on that.
It's coming.
Let's talk about that podcast. Okay, so I'm hanging in Millbridge a couple of weeks ago. Ross Weiss and I are talking, and I just love Ross Weiss to death. He's just one of the coolest guys. And he said, I love what you guys do in Wing Nation. I love what Justin's doing here and what Jeremy's doing here. He said, but for my money, the Drivers Project right now is the best podcast in sprint car racing. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then I'd watched it. I'd seen little snippets. And then I said, I got to watch this thing. And I'm not sure, but Ross might be right on it. This Drivers Project that you have going. And if you're not familiar with it, folks, you need to find it. It's Dominic, Sam Haverdeep Jr., Zeb Wise, J.J. Hickle, Daryl Turford kind of as the ringleader of the whole thing. Dominic, this process to get this up and running and then to have the success you have, what has that been like?
It's been a blast. Daryl has been a friend of mine for years, and he did the Drivers Project years ago, which I was a fan of. All the incredible stories he would write about drivers and stories that we didn't even really know about. He did one on Kyle Larson's dad, which I thought was incredible.
Yes.
He brought this idea up a couple years ago, and I said, nope, I'm not doing a podcast. I'm going to say something. I'm going to, piss somebody off, and I'm not interested in it. I don't want to do it. And then, a year goes by, and he's like, hey, I still want to do that podcast. I'm like, nope, not going to do it. So he just goes, you know what? Hey, I'm doing this podcast. How about you do the first episode and just kind of come in whenever you want, and we'll talk to you, and you can be a guest. We did the first episode, and now we're, 50 some episodes in, and I've only missed a couple of them only because of travel or whatever. And we have so much fun. And what's cool is, we might have the whole crew. Then sometimes Zeb can't make it, or Sam can't make it, or I can't make it, or JJ can't make it. And you don't really miss anything. The dynamic is great. Carson McCarl, he's on there quite a bit. And it's just been so much fun. Like the one we're working on right now is interviewing all these past champions of the Dirt Cup. And, we've got guys like Brent Kading and Shane Stewart and incredible talents lined up to talk to. And we're not even talking about their career. We're talking about one event. And, I just feel like we have the ability to kind of put people's nerves at ease and, get a little bit more of a, unedited story from them, because it's 9:00 at night when we do it. I'm usually 2 or 3 tequilas in. And, it's like, I don't know, it feels like you just kind of melt into the chair. I don't know if you guys watched the one with Donnie Schatz, but he started off professional, and then he gets about 30 minutes in, and it's like, all right, I'm taking my hat off and I'm kicking my shoes off, and we're going to start talking crap about the high limit guys. And I love it all. And I think it's a safe space where guys can kind of, talk about what they want to talk about. And they know that, we would never put anything out there that, the drivers wouldn't want put out. And, we're all tape delayed, so you can cut it. And, we cuss like sailors. HBO is going to have to pick us up, and it's just fun. It's our goal was, we wanted it to be like you're talking after the races at the bar or at the car wash, and it's just guys being dudes, and you're talking about the stuff that maybe people don't really know about in the sprint car world. And I will say that the most rewarding thing of doing the entire podcast is the amount of drivers at such a high level text you, call you, run into you at the racetrack going, dude, I love your podcast. I don't miss an episode. I listen all the time. That's special. And like when Carson Macedo was on, he contacted us and was like, hey, I want to come on the podcast and I want to speak my piece. You know, it's just, I feel honored that guys of such caliber listen to what we talk about. And I mean, really, we're just a bunch of idiots.
Well, there is something about the fraternity of race car drivers. And we used to have an Erin segment where it was called As You Know Erin. They never say as you know me unless it's talking about a buffet. You know, and that sort of thing. There is something about the fraternity of drivers where you guys have conversations that Steve Post radio guys not going to have. Yeah, we may stand around and BS after a race and talk and drink a few beers and that sort of thing. But there is something about that fraternity, and that's what you guys achieve with the Drivers Project, and it is such a good listen. It's really cool.
Well, thank you so much. And that's what it feels like. It feels like, you know, when we get done recording, I don't even remember what I say, and I refuse to watch the show back because I don't want to change how I sound or what I sound like, because if I strike a chord or if I rub somebody wrong, that's as natural as it gets. You know, I'm not persuaded by anything. I'm just speaking my piece, and that's kind of what we all do. So it's so cool to have that, you know, fraternity of race car drivers where, like, Wayne Pretty will call me and go, hey, I love that little segment that you guys talked about last week about tire dope, or you know, Donnie Schatz was talking about, you know, hey, like, the way the tires are, and this is what we're struggling with. And I mean, the stuff that we cut out of the podcast, we're going to have to do like a Patreon or an OnlyFans or something special to pay for it, because I mean, the information that's cut out is like, oh my goodness, it's amazing.
Dominic Scelzi and OnlyFans. I'm not sure I had those two on my bingo card for the day. Oh, there we go. Dominic, we're going to give your arm a rest because I see you're stripping back and forth from left arm to right arm as you're enjoying the camp, and I'll let you get back to the girls. We appreciate the time. We cannot wait. All of the fastest 5 days are on Flow Racing. So, folks, racing sprint cars after dark is what Justin Fiedler calls it out there. And so catch the fastest 5 days and then up into Dirt Cup. Dominic, it's always a pleasure. Congratulations on first and foremost, Dad, and then everything else. We love the journey. We love the travel. And we love catching up with you. Thanks for the time.
Thank you guys so much. Girls, you want to say bye? Say goodbye.
Bye.
There we go. All right. Good
Thanks,
stuff.
guys.
From Oregon, Dominic Scelzi joining us. Stay with us. More Wing Nation in just a moment.
3, 2, 1. Start your engine.
The NASCAR channel is streaming now, exclusively on Tubi.
Tell them we got it.
Go deeper into NASCAR with 24/7 news, documentaries, and explore the vault of timeless NASCAR stories and unforgettable races. From crushing defeats to the thrill of victory.
Go, baby!
The NASCAR channel. Always on, always free. Only on Tubi.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation. Man, I'll tell you what, talking to Dominic Scelzi. Woo, doesn't
Always
get any better.
entertaining.
So let's see. We've got OnlyFans covered. We've got the toilet covered.
Yeah.
And what was the other? What was the
tequila.
The tequila. We got the tequila. So we got everything
I did
covered.
it was like almost like a Freudian slip. He talked about having some drinks before the race. I mean, the night before the race.
It is cool. It really is. Erin, I've been on a bit of a roll. And last week I spent this segment of the show just talking about Western Pennsylvania Sprint Speed Week. And as much as that didn't work out racing-wise, it did work out people-wise.
Yeah.
And this weekend, I went to what has grown into one of my favorite places.
Maybe
yes.
one of your favorite
Gosh,
places.
yes. Butler Motor Speedway, the Butler Battlegrounds. Tim Wilbur took this place over in 2022. And you know how good it is. 3 years into this, the drivers all still like them. I mean, that's first and foremost what they're doing. And they are just putting together some good stuff. I love that this is a 410 track in the middle of nowhere, sprint car wide. Yeah, it's just a little north of Ohio, but it's a standalone 410 track that if you're a Butler racer, you're a Butler racer.
Yeah.
You know, and there are just some incredible things. One of the things that I'm just so impressed with is the efficiency of the show. Okay. I went there, they do their hot laps practice qualifying, and then they have a 1 hour autograph session where they open the pits. Okay. And you're always just a little sketchy when we have autograph sessions. You know, you're thinking, okay, they got that done. They were a little bit behind, but not too bad. And man, Erin, I'm telling you what, we had a street stock that rolled. I've never seen anything roll like that in my life. He ended up in a tree off from turn number 2.
Oh my!
And I'm not sure, they might have had to get chainsaws to get that car out.
I've ended up in the woods before, so yeah.
So they have all of this.
Yikes.
And this was my Butler problem. They have all of this. The sprint car feature checkered at 10:17.
That's nice.
The efficiency of the show is so good at Butler now. We had this autograph session, we had this major crash, and at 10:17, sprint car feature was done. The other divisions still had to race, but man, it is so nice up there. It is so cool. So many great people. Jason Blonde picked up the win, had a chance, the first win of the season, had a chance to talk to him. Jason's always fascinating to me because he also runs the must-see asphalt.
Yeah, he's run asphalt cars for a long time.
For a long time, and just great, great people. Had a chance to talk to Thomas Schinderly, I believe it is. Thomas is from Texas. He won like the Tulsa Shootout. He's an engineer from Cadillac. So obviously he moves to Detroit, and he's like, I want to go run sprint cars. Man, this is a Saturday night dream for him to get a chance just to have my sprint car, go run at Butler, wrap it up, and call it a time. Last year here on the program, we had Van Gurley Jr. I caught up with my man Van, and there's a picture of him. Those of you watching video, it was fan time. Van literally on one knee talking to all the kids, putting kids in the sprint race car,
so cool.
Doing everything. Talked to Van also because when we chatted with him last year, he and I got into this little fitness thing. Well, it turned right into that. He's still doing his 100 push-ups a day. And I talked a little bit about strength training, and we were just like, it was just like two old dudes, and he's so encouraging. He's so inspiring. He really is. He's just such a neat deal. Okay. So I'm talking to Van. I'm having a good time. And this racer comes over. Oh my gosh. I thought, I'm like, Van's really cool. Thomas is cool. All of them are cool and everything like that. Aaron Schaefer comes over. Aaron's another one of those guys. That's a Butler guy. Okay. He's from Kenosha, Michigan. Okay. Comes over and he says, my wife wants you to have a sloppy dog. Oh my gosh. Well, there's his race car. He's sponsored by Pell's Tire Service, which we hear Pell's all the time and that sort of thing. I walk up in the hauler, and it is Sloppy Joe's with hot dogs.
Yeah.
And girl, this was insane how good this is.
Is that the picture right there?
Oh, that's the picture right there. Oh my God. The sloppy dog was so good. And then she says, we're also sponsored by a brewery. Oh my gosh. So Dark Horse Brewing is their sponsor. Okay. And so we had to do a little sampling with some Red Solo cups.
Obviously.
And this brewery, just phenomenal. Their IPA was so good. It was like, it wasn't a too hoppy IPA, but it wasn't a too mellow IPA. It was like an IPA that you could sip and taste, or if you needed to chug it, you could chug it. That's how good this IPA was. Dark Horse Brewing is going to come do some sampling at Butler Motor Speedway.
Oh. And
I just love it. And Aaron finished 6th in the feature, but Aaron and his wife, they could not have been nicer. And that's just, this is the same theme from last week in Western Pennsylvania.
Just racers.
Yes, absolutely. It's really, really good. And so she's like, well, there's a whole crock pot of these sloppy dogs there. I'm like, man, another one of those, put me in the vat. I just want to be in the vat of sloppy dogs. I said, I've got it. I've got to pace myself here. Look at that sloppy dog. Oh my gosh, I can still taste that thing. That was so good. Okay, now, because when you go to Butler, you've got to have a Butler burger. Woo, man, oh man. The Butler burger is on point. Fries were really, really good.
Some pickles,
Oh man, yeah, you make your own fixins with it. I did just the cheeseburger, and you make your own fixins. And I am telling you, Butler Motor Speedway, folks. I just cannot. To Tim Wilbur, his family, and I say family because it's a family-run operation. You guys are crushing it, and I just, as a sprint car fan, thank you. I know when I go to Michigan, I have a great place to go see sprint car racing on a Saturday night, and I just think that is so cool. I just think it's awesome. So really, really neat stuff. A couple of other racing-related items, and Dominic referenced this. It was a good weekend for the high-limit racing guys, and they didn't even race high limits. Man, Aaron, they took it to everybody across the country.
They really did. They sure did. Rico and Brad Sweet both got wins. I mean, how about Rico? He is having a year.
And he's just on stun right now.
He really is.
I mean, and you watch him, and we talked to Rico a couple of weeks ago. We had him on there, but you watch all of his videos, the exercise videos, the workout videos, the training videos. You can tell late in the race he's laser focused.
Yeah.
I mean, he even did, and he did the greatest. Rico's YouTube page, folks. If you're not following Rico's YouTube page, go subscribe to it. He did a great video last week or 2 weeks ago about how they have to adapt his car for his stature, for his size.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, and it's even the steering arms and things like that, and the foot box, the pedal box, and stuff like that.
He's amazing. I mean,
amazing, yes.
Never mind the wins. He's just amazing.
He's an amazing man, and then
inspiring to everybody.
Yes, he is, and he's got that car rolling. And then we mentioned this. The Dominic mentioned this. Sunshine goes over to Knoxville and steals all their money.
Yeah.
So neat stuff, that's for sure. We usually try to stick to the weekend, but we've got to mention Travis Aaron's.
Oh my gosh,
wasn't that amazing? That
was amazing to watch. When he ever jumped in that pond after Victory Lane. That was, it is so neat to see a story like that. Yeah. Someone, a dark horse, someone I mean, Ray was like, who is this guy? I'm like, I don't know. I got to Google him.
Dominic Scelzi tweeted, congratulations to whoever that guy was that just won the high limit race.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
He's like, what do you mean you never heard of him? He's like, I thought you do Wing Nation. I said, I do. I've never heard of him.
And Aaron, this is not a 16 guys pop tires and he was riding 15th. No. He took it to him. And just left.
Went back to 6th, made it up.
And then just right around the bottom, tiptoeing around the bottom with his absolute best Lance Dewease routine and just game.
Speaking of Lance.
Yes. But I love going back to Travis. I love he didn't get a fire suit because he needed to spend some money on the engine, but he won $26,000
now
for Kevin Rooney. Now he's getting the fire suit because he jumped in the drink. I love it.
I was a little concerned about that water. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, I mean, you wondered about racetrack water like that, but I don't think Travis was worried about it.
He didn't care.
This is why when the World of Outlaws roll into town, more than the platinum drivers are there.
Yeah.
This is why when the high rollers roll into town, more than the high rollers are there. Because Travis rolled in there as a long shot. He rolled out of there $26,000 as a winner, and the entire talk of the entire sprint car industry. Yep. That was crazy, the aftermath of that.
That was
just unreal. Who is this guy? What's his story? What's his deal?
Yeah.
I mean, just insane.
And his elation in Victory Lane was just refreshing.
Refreshing, no doubt about it. And we just referenced Lance Dewease' 116th win at Williams Grove. And that's all. That's all. Just held off Danny Dietrich.
I'm a big fan.
Oh, my gosh. Great stuff.
Big Lance Dewease fan here.
Speaking of Pennsylvania, Sprint Car Hall of Fame birthday calendar, Keith Kaufman, the man from Mifflintown. Man, I'm telling you what, does not get any better than Keith Kaufman, Chuck Merrill, Pancho Carter, Earl Paget, Lee Elkins, Sam Hoffman, Grant King. Later this week, Johnny Anderson, Brian Clausen would have had a birthday, Gene Martinez, and Dick Simonek. SprintCarStuff.com is their website. SprintCarHOF.com. Membership is only $25. Aaron, here we are. We're in the summertime. We don't have to wait long for sprint car racing.
I love it. Tonight, high limit racing from Eagle, Nebraska.
And then it all begins out west. Sprint Cars After Dark, the fastest 5 days in racing for the NARC King of the West. Of course, Dominic is already in Medford, Oregon, Southern Oregon Speedway, then Douglas County, and then a lot of familiar tracks when we get into the weekend as far as sprint cars go.
Yes, they head to Cottage Grove, Willamette, and Grays Harbor.
Man, that is awesome. We don't have to wait that long. Terry McCarl's been crowing about this one all week long on his social media Thursday night. $10,000 to win at 34 Raceway in Burlington, Iowa. It is a Power Eye race, and boy, I'm telling you, $10,000 to win in Iowa just sets us up for the weekend coming up for the World of Outlaws.
Yes, big weekend. This is always a big preview or warm-up for the Nationals. Yeah. World of Outlaws, Friday, Saturday night at Knoxville.
Let's see what you got, folks. Let's see who's got what. We've been talking David. We've been talking Rico. We've been talking now Sunshine out there.
You
Brownie,
just never know.
At? Where's Carson? Where's Austin McCarl?
Ryan Timms has been
really good out there. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. You mentioned that. I'm telling you, I have got the greatest habit in the world Sunday nights now. The plane ride.
Oh, the Houston.
Literally, Aaron, plop down, and the 4-ton sprint cars are on the track getting ready to be pushed off.
That's like the second or third time that's happened.
Yes, it is. Like the timing on this Houston thing on Dirt Vision is spectacular. And Tim's and Chase Randall, did they go to town on Sunday night? Holy gosh, there was one time where they were banging off each other in lap traffic, and I'm like, they're both going to end up over the flag stand here. I'm like, and Doug Johnson's boy was third. I'm like, he's going to win this.
Caleb's going
to win this thing because these guys, man, it was nuts. It's huge. I say this. No, it's not nuts. It's just Huset's.
Yeah, and I love Huset's. That's always
just
been.
Huset's. So we got off the reservation. Well, Huset's does run on Sunday night, but this Huset's Sunday night habit. Oh my gosh, it is the greatest habit that I don't ever want to break. I need to make sure those planes keep landing in time so I can pop down with a cold, frosty beverage Sunday night. I've been on the road with NASCAR. I'm exhausted. I'm decompressing. And oh my gosh, to plop down and watch a 25-lap sprint car feature, it is just perfection. It really is. All-Star Circuit of Champions, Erin.
Yeah,
they're getting ready to get busy.
Little speed week in Ohio. They have Friday Attica, Saturday Sharon, Sunday Millstream, Wayne County, Eldora.
And we'll talk about next week.
Yeah.
So, yes, man, that is some good stuff. Here we go. We'll see how this one stacks up in fairs. I know Danny Dietrich's all he's all twisted up and ready to get there. He's all fired up about it. And I love when our groups all get together, IRA and MOA. They have a Friday night show in Jacksonville, Illinois, and they're over at Peevely at I-55 on Saturday night. And you can catch all of that through the IRA stuff on Flow Racing. So, man, we are in for a big, big weekend. We're in that time of year, and we need Mother Nature to cooperate. That old battle axe, she's driving me crazy. She's ruining everything.
Ruining everything.
Maybe
we got some of the rain out of the way. I feel like we've even here we've had a lot.
That's been just ridiculous. Yep. So good stuff. That is for sure. And great stuff catching up with Dominic Scelzi.
Always. The Scelzi's never disappoint.
I just love it. He has gone from Gary's boy to Dominic.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
and then you even look at Gio, like they've all made themselves their home in the sport.
Yeah, so good. Such a big part of sprint car racing. Really, really fun stuff. So we're grateful that Dominic joined us. You can follow us on our social media. We are on X, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook with a page and a group. And you can find all of these shows on YouTube. And yes, do us a favor, spread the gospel. We're on YouTube. I'm up at Butler, and some guy said, man, I hate that you no longer do Wing Nation on YouTube. Oh, this is like the bane of my existence right now. I just scream it to every sprint car fan. Do I need to get Craig Moore to come off the wallet and just sponsor the Knoxville Nationals? Just get Craig Moore to go to that. Craig Moore to go to that bank account. Wing Nation is on YouTube, Knoxville Nationals. That's what we need to do.
I don't know with what's in my bank account. I may be able to get like a little square inch by inch piece.
I don't think we'll all fit there.
Oh, well. So then we need everyone else to pitch in and help. If Craig can't help us, if Craig can't help
where I work.
I know exactly know where you work. And that's a little bit of a stretch right there. Just a little bit outside.
Gosh, I do miss those shows.
Yes, we had a blast out there. That is for sure. And we have a blast wherever we go. So really fun stuff. But spread the gospel. Wing Nation's still around. We're here on YouTube or all the social media platforms, wherever you listen. Spread the gospel as well. She's Erin Evernham. I'm Steve Post. Thanks for joining us this time here on Wing Nation.